Hey friend, I'm Brandon Gustafson. I help new and aspiring real estate investors start their assisted living business. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the different loan types that you can use to start your assisted living business. Welcome to Assisted Living Investing. Hey friend, it's Brandon Gustafson. I wanted to just quickly remind you to get over to the website, assistedlivinginvesting.net. I have a ton of resources up there, including our underwriting calculator, which is what I use to secure over $1.5 million in SBA funding. So make sure you get over to the website, again, assistedlivinginvesting.net. We will link that down below to get access to that free underwriting calculator. Now let's get into the topic of today's video. We're going to be talking about what are the different funding types that you can use to start your assisted living business? A lot of people have this question. Funding is one of the most difficult things that I see as I talk to people. It's one of the biggest barriers to letting you really start that business because it feels hard. If you're new to this, you're an aspiring real estate investor, it's hard to just learn the ins and outs and try to figure things out on how you're going to do this. There are multiple ways though, and I'm here to tell you, you can do this. So let's jump into it. The first one that I teach, that I really coach people because I've been able to do $1.5 million in this type of funding, is SBA funding. SBA stands for the Small Business Administration. It is a federally backed program. There's a lot of banks and credit unions that are certified as SBA lenders. And what that means is they have worked with the government to get access to this federally funded thing. And really, they're protecting themselves because they're offering this funding and it is backed by the federal government, by their funds, but they are the administrators of this type of funding. And so that's kind of what they do. So who are those SBA lenders? They could be national banks, they could be local banks, or they could be credit unions. I am partial to working with small local banks and credit unions. I think they have better terms, they're better customer service, they're easy to work with. But if you need to go up to a national bank, you could certainly do that. You could work with a Chase or something like that and get access to these funds. But there are a ton of SBA lenders. If you're trying to find one in your area, just do a simple internet search and say SBA lenders in my state or in my city. And it's going to come up with this huge list of banks that you can go and reach out and start contacting. And the process is you talk to customer service and say, hey, I want an SBA loan, and they will connect you to the right department. And then the conversation from there is, hey, I want to get an SBA loan to start an assisted living business. Is that something that you guys work with? And from there, if they say, yeah, give us your business plan, or let's look at your underwriting, that's where like my business planning guide is going to be a big help to you in doing this, because these are questions, these are basic questions that all lenders are going to ask you. They want to see this type of information. So it's going to help you really move things along on your investment journey. So they're going to ask you for those things, and they're going to look at it and they're going to say, yeah, let's start the process. Here's the application. This is what it looks like. Here's the paperwork. These are all the things that we need. And they're going to ask for everything: taxes, bank statements, business plans, all sorts of things they're going to want to look at. And if you're buying an existing business, they want all that stuff from the seller as well. So just something you want to be aware of as you get into it. They're going to ask for a lot of paperwork, but SBA is a great route. Now with the SBA, there are actually two different loan products that you can look at. There's the 7A loan and there's the 504. And I have a video, and we'll link that up above, that really dives deep into these. And then in my accelerator course, I really dive deep into how those work and why each of them might be a good option for you. So make sure, if you're interested in learning more about that, get over to the website, assistedlivinginvesting.net, to see if the accelerator course is a good fit for you on your investment journey at this point. So that's the SBA. The next one is going to be traditional mortgages. And traditional mortgages are kind of what you would use to buy a house. Now you need to remember, when you do this, it's not a primary residence. This is a secondary or an investment property. And so it's not going to look the exact same as when you're buying a house for yourself, but it's going to be pretty similar. The process is going to be similar. You're going to be working with banks. The advantage to this is nearly all banks and credit unions are willing to do something with real estate because it is such an incredible asset. But when you're doing this, they're likely going to be asking for more down. SBA, you're probably looking at 20% down. When you go the traditional mortgage, you're 25 to 30% down. SBA, you're going to be able to get some operating capital with that loan. When you go a traditional mortgage, it is just for the house. So those are a couple things that you want to be looking at and understand. But the process itself is pretty similar. You're going to want to get the house. So you're going to want to do an inspection and an assessment on the house just to see how much it's worth and things like that and move forward. But this is another great option for you. You still might need to work with the SBA to get funding for an operational loan if you don't have that money already in the bank for you. But that's okay. I think you can combine those two easily enough and get what you need to really start that business. Now let's talk about the third option, and this is hard money or private money. And this is something that people are a little bit standoffish about because it's new. It's a new idea to them. But when you get into the world of real estate investing, this is actually very common. Typically what you'll see is you'll have an interest-only loan. And so you will buy a house and you'll only pay interest on it for the terms of that agreement. Let's say it's 3 years, and that's what the payment is. You could do early payoffs. Typically, depending on the lender, they're going to ask you for an early payoff if you do that, if you go that route, but it's a viable option for you. And then you can refinance that into more of a traditional type of a loan, SBA or traditional mortgage. The reason why you would want to do this is you have bad credit, or you don't have the ability, you just are told no by every single bank that you've ever talked to about a traditional or an SBA loan. And so you go the route of private money and hard money. And typically they like to be in first position on the house, which means they have a lien against the property if something were to go bad. But that's not anything to be scared of either. They're just more open to talking to you about it than a lender is, because the lender does the exact same thing. So you want to just kind of be aware that this is actually a really viable option. When you're doing this, you are working with individuals or groups though. And so you want to find good people to work with, people that you can trust, and people that you feel comfortable with in doing this, because you are working with individuals. So you don't want to just go find somebody off the streets and do this. I would recommend getting into real estate investment groups and having conversations and building out your network so that you can find a good private or hard money lender that is willing to work with you. Typically, those down payments, though, are going to be less when you go this route. So that's a really good thing. You're going to have your terms are going to just be different. It depends. It's structured however you negotiate it. But typically, it's a really good way to get in and get started and then shift it over to something else. Now, they are going to want to have something that's more real estate centric. They probably aren't going to give you some extra money for the operating capital. So that's something that you might need to come up with on your own. But if you're looking at just real estate and getting something in, I've talked to a ton of investors, and this is an incredible strategy for them and something they've found to be really successful for them as they get started on their business. Now, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about hard money and private money, comment that down below, because if that's something that is of interest to people, I'll do some research and maybe see if I can find some lenders that could come on and talk to us a little bit about it and help you along your journey. So comment that down below. Just put private money. Now, there's a few other options here as well for lending that are not quite as common, but they are still great options for you to consider. One would be a construction loan. So if you are building a brand new home, you own the land, you're building something from the ground up, construction loans are a great option for that. And oftentimes you can transition them into a traditional mortgage. Again, this is going to be more specific to just building the house, and not operating capital, but it's a great option for you to do. And typically you're going to get some good rates and terms with it, maybe even better than going the traditional mortgage route that we talked about because it's an investment property. So that's one that you would want to talk to a person about, especially if you have the land or you found somewhere with land where it's a good spot for an assisted living home. And the next one is going to be HUD. HUD loans are incredible. If you can get into them, it's great. There's a lot of regulations around it, so you want to be aware of that. It's a federally funded program, kind of like the SBA, but there's more rules and complexities to it. There's audits regularly by CPAs. I actually used to live next to one who, this is what he did. He would go and audit with his CPA firm assisted living facilities that were on HUD loans. And so I'm pretty familiar with that process, but it has great long-term debt for you, 35-year terms with really low payments. But you just have to kind of structure things a little bit different than you would see in other situations. Oftentimes they want somebody that has been operating for a period of time. I was actually getting opportunities in front of me about 6 months into my journey. Up front, I wasn't really getting that, but after having operated for a little bit, I was finding opportunities that came up. So if you want to get started and grow your portfolio, there's actually a really good way for you to be able to do that is going the route of a HUD loan. So those are just a bunch of different options for you to help you get the funding that you need to start your assisted living business. If you found this helpful, we talked about SBA loans, traditional mortgages, we talked about private money, we talked about construction loans and HUD loans. If you find one of those to be interesting to you, comment that down below. I'd love to hear what is interesting to you. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, like, and ring the bell as well so you get notified every time we're doing this. I know there's a ton of you out there that watch this that are not subscribed, but you are watching all the videos. Make sure you subscribe so you get notified, because I'm putting out this content on a regular basis and we're keeping it up to date and making sure that it is the most current information to help you start your assisted living business. That's what I'm here to do, to help new and aspiring real estate investors start their assisted living business. I want to remind you as well to get over to the website, assistedlivinginvesting.net. You're going to be able to get access to the free underwriting calculator to help you get started. You'll also be able to look at the products that we have there. We have the business planning guide, which really just kicks you off and gives you all the guidance you need to underwrite and build a business plan, which is what you need to get this funding in place. It's absolutely crucial for you to get that. And then I also have my accelerator course, which is a 12-week path to ownership. It's going to really kind of guide you through what I did as I was getting started on my assisted living journey. It's going to help you out there quite a bit. I want to remind you as well that you can do this. It doesn't take a lot, just a little bit, but persistence and step by step by step. If you are consistent and persistent, I promise you, you're going to be successful. I want to thank you for watching and have a great day.